Banished, how to start. The first thing you're going to want to do is add whatever mods you would like to have enabled in the game. I like to use the apiary. I'm not the type of person who wants to cheat in the game. I want the game to be difficult. The apiary produces a lot of food easily. I don't overdo it. I just use it here and there because I still balance the food, but that can give you a big edge. I like to use the 2-floor house. I like to use the dairy milk and creamery. I like to use the sawmill, the root cellars. The other ones I really don't use very much. So I'm going to wait till it clears up a bit. Now, when you first start out the game, you have to keep the population alive. So you should focus on food production and get your warehouse filled with food. It's not the warehouse. This is a warehouse over here. Storage barn. You want it to be filled with food. So focus on building a fishing dock so you can fish for food all year round and build them all along the river. When you first start out, you're only going to be able to build a few. Number 2, it's easy to build at the beginning, so I recommend stone houses because they use less fuel in the wintertime. The farms are easy to build, so you can build lots of them. Build in excess of farms. Easy to build. You don't have to use them. You don't lose anything by having a farm that doesn't do anything. But focus on food. Food, 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 food. You've got like 30 seasons before you have to worry about growing the population. Don't grow the population too fast because you'll run out of food. So then what I do is I have a system which is right here with the market. I place the market in the center. And then around it, I build the industries that need materials that are found in the market. For example, clothing and tools, the woodcutter, the brewer, I'm going to put around the market like this so that they get access to the market very easily. The tailor, all he has to do is go over here to get wool. And when he makes the clothing, he just drops it right over here. And then the markets will trade with each other to balance everything out. So that is one of the key techniques I use. And then you see there's a yellow circle. So then I build another market over here and it's got that yellow circle. And I build another one over here and it's got that yellow circle. And it's all done the same way. You can see over here we've got the tailor, the tailor, the tailor. We've got taverns, the herbalist, the gatherer. He doesn't really need to be here. I'll show you a different way. So keep on watching the video because I'm going to show you something else important. You see over here we've got the forester, the hunting cabin, the gatherer, and the herbalist. Here's an example. We've got the forest lodge. And you see that circle? I'm not building within this circle. It's all trees. So this is a mountain. I can't build there. Over here, there's a little bit of space I could put some buildings. But I'm not going to encroach on this area. And then over here, you have the forester lodge, which plants all the trees. You've got the hunting cabin, which looks for food, specifically deer. The herbalist finds the herbs, which is used to heal people when they're sick. The gatherer's hut will find food, mushrooms, roots, berries, onions. The woodcutter, he cuts the wood which is in the storage in the stockpile right here. So the forester chops down the trees, puts it in the stockpile, and then it goes right to the woodcutter. And over here, there's a small house. All these people are not enough to work in all these buildings, but it's kind of like a little starter place. You can see one is a woodcutter, physician, a student, and some child. So we've got one person, and he's got everything he needs. He's got the firewood, he's got food. We got one person who's actually working here as the woodcutter. And the other people, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, are living in the houses that are around in the area. For example, here's a house. And here's a house. You see it says Forester. So I'm going to click on this building. And which one is it? Here it is. Isn't that it? Okay, so you can see where the people live that work in that building and where they live over here. So in this case, they live close. His live kind of far away. His lives nearby. Look at that. This guy, he doesn't even work nearby. He works at this woodcutter over here. So that's a sign they live kind of far away. Look how far away he lives. Wow, that's quite a hike. You don't want them living that far. These guys need some houses to be built nearby. Outside of the circle, I'm going to build a bunch of houses over here so that they can go closer to where they have to go. Cemetery, you want to build far away from everything. This is the hospital. The hospital, I also build far away from everything, but there's another rule that I have. You put it on the outside of the town, because on the inside of the town, you want a lot of employment. See over here, we got a bridge going across. Lots of people walk across this bridge. Put a hospital right next to the bridge. So when people are sick, they'll find the hospital easily. I don't see any that I placed on the bridges, but that's one trick you can use. All of the chapels and the schools, put them far away. I don't use any quarries. I import stone. But you can use them. I've obviously used them before. Usually, can you see this area? You've got some hills and some water, and you've got some flat land. Start in the middle. You build the road first, and then you build the food on the flat areas, and then you build the forester over here. He's going to plant trees in all the gaps where you can't build anything. This is a hospital which is on the edge. You build the houses in the space along the edge. You build the storage facilities nearby, but you also want the storage near the water because the trading posts are going to be near the water. So the other thing that I did is, you see over here, there's all these trading posts. And over here's all the ale. So the trading post brings in the food, puts it in the marketplace or in the storage. Here's the storage. And then it produces ale, it puts it back in the storage, goes back into the trading post. And then it does the production, the trade production, very efficiently. The fishermen are built along the river. You can build them on the small rivers also. So you want to save space along the river for trading posts and for the fishermen. Usually, I build the woodcutters near each other with a stockpile, and probably near the forester or near a trading post, depending if I pull things in or not. See, I've got a lot of stone over here I haven't used yet. This is a town at the edge. You start by building a marketplace. Then you build blacksmith, tailor, tavern, because they're going to produce goods. You see over here, I've got a trading post. Look at that little tiny river. I think it works. I think he does bring people in, but I really don't remember. It's possible I just put that there to test to see if he would bring people in. Then what I do, you see all these fishing areas? I build them, but you don't want to build them too far away because they'll freeze to death. So you got to build houses along the way. Over here I have a forester, but I haven't built all the other houses yet. I highly recommend the sawmill, and I use them where I cannot build the trading post. So you got to build the trading post first. Town's not that big, it's actually quite small. So this is where the creameries are. I have a lot of them in one area, but the reason why is because there's a lot of cattle over here. They produce a lot of milk. These storage facilities get a lot of milk in them. So I built a lot of creameries next to the milk so that they would produce cream and cheese and things like that. Okay, so when you start the game, try to build near the water, try to produce as much food as possible, make sure your storage facilities have as much food as possible, build the fisheries. You're going to want to make clothing and tools. My advice is you just build one of each. And don't build the advanced clothing or the advanced tools. Just build the simple tools and the simple clothing. Build the school. You're going to want to eventually add the church. The hospital you can wait until later on. Build your farms. Eventually you're going to have the pasture. And build a small cemetery. When you start out, you don't need a big cemetery. And build the method that I described. So for example, let's say you start here, you build the marketplace, you go out a little bit and build the forester. You don't want to go too far. Like I could go over here and build a forester, but they have a high chance of failure because they're going to freeze to death. It's going to take them too long to build because they have to walk a long distance to get building materials and things like that. So what I usually end up having is a forester that's kind of in the middle of the town. And they're just always there. And you notice I got a forester here, and he puts trees in all the places where I can't build a house or another building. Something like a cemetery, don't worry about it so much, because if you need this space, you can always demolish it and build something else later. Okay, so that's a little bit of information on how to start. You'll notice that in these spaces, I put little stockpiles. Maybe they won't get used and maybe they will, but they're there if somebody needs them. And maybe I could put a stockpile over here, for example. People will walk across the pasture. They don't always walk on the roads. You see how I have 4? You don't want to go 3 by 3. If you do 3x3, you're going to have performance problems. It's going to take them longer to gather the food and put it in the storage facility, or to go to their house and things like that. So you can do 2x2 and then build houses and storage around it, or you can build like this and put a road in the middle where you have farms on the left, farms on the right, and then the houses and the storage in the middle. I put a lot of people, you see I got 10 out of 12 working in the market. I got a lot of people in the trading posts because they need to move a lot of goods. Okay, so that is about how you start the game. You see I've got a long way to go. Got a lot of stuff to collect over here. This is obvious. What I did here was I built a road, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a forest or a marketplace, depending on which one I'm going to do. And there's also the option that this could all become farmland. But my theory is it's better to import everything. I'll explain why. We're going to look at the farm, at a trade. This is a farm. You're going to look at the production. See, it says 500. It says 1,500 is the production. So remember that it said 1,500. This one says 1,200. But look at this over here. This is after the purchase. They come in with like 12,000 corn and 12,000 onions and 12,000 cabbage, and you could buy a lot. You see I've got 1,800 cherries, 2,500 beans, 1,800 plums. They can buy a lot more food. One little trading post every season can buy as much as like 10 farms. And I use the automatic trading. So maybe even more than 10 farms. So a trading post has a very high value compared to a farm. And I recommend building lots of trading posts. The trading post system is not perfect. Sometimes it doesn't bring food in, but it works pretty good. Okay, so that is about how to start the game. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. I am the owner of cheapbooks.com, which is a website for searching for books and textbooks, and you can go to my Banished discussion forum where you can see lots of tips about how to play the game, which is at cheapbooks.cc. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.